Welcome, dear listeners, to another episode of The Bedtime Bookshelf. Tonight, we venture into the heart of Souville with Amelia, unraveling the mysteries of a garden that mirrors the soul. As the moonlight bathes the earth and the stars twinkle above, let the tale of seeds of the heart transport you to a world where every seed sown carries the weight of a dream, and every bloom tells a story of hope, love, and faith. So snuggle up, close your eyes, and let the gentle rhythms of this story lull you into a peaceful slumber. Sweet dreams await.
In the heart of a vast and undulating landscape, where the hills gently rose and fell like the waves of a verdant sea, there lay the town of Souville. From afar, the town seemed to be stitched together with patches of myriad green shades, from the emerald of young shoots to the rich pine of ancient trees. Between these patches flowed the river Silver, its waters clear and shimmering in the dappled sunlight, nurturing the land. Souville was not just any town. It was a gardener's dream, a haven where each resident had their own plot of earth to tend to. Gardens here weren't a mere hobby or pastime. They were personal canvases, spaces where souls blossomed and thoughts took root. These plots told tales of those who cultivated them, tales of dreams, hopes, and sometimes even regrets. As the morning sun crept over the horizon, casting golden hues upon Souville, the town stirred to life. In the central square, under the sprawling boughs of the heartree, old Master Thorin was regaling a group of eager children with tales of the tree's origins. "You see," began Master Thorin, his voice deep and melodic, reminiscent of wind rustling through autumn leaves. "The heartree was the very first to sprout in Souville. It was from its seeds that all of Souville's gardens grew." A small boy, his face smeared with dirt from an early morning of planting, looked up in awe. "But Master Thorin, who planted the heartree?" Master Thorin chuckled, his eyes twinkling. "Ah, young Cedric, that's a tale as old as time. They say it was the earth herself, wanting a guardian for this blessed land." By the riverbank, two elderly women, Mira and Ilara, were exchanging gardening tips, their voices a soft hum against the backdrop of the gurgling river Silver. "My roses seem to be wilting," Mira sighed, her fingers tracing the petals of a crimson rose. "I've tried everything." Ilara, her eyes wise and deep-set, observed the flower. "Remember the old saying, dear Mira, to nurture a garden is to nurture the soul. Maybe it's not just water and sunlight they seek. Speak to them, pour your heart out, and see them bloom." Mira smiled, nodding slowly. "Ah, Ilara, always the sage. I'll try that." As the day progressed, Souville bustled with activity. The seed library's doors were thrown open, the seed keepers attending to those in search of the perfect seeds. Laughter, advice, and tales of gardens past echoed through the town. By evening, as the sun cast long amber-hued shadows, the town of Souville settled, but not to sleep. For in this town, as stars adorned the night sky, gardens whispered tales of the day, of dreams sown and of hope nurtured. The rite of passage here was not just about planting, but understanding the language of the earth, a language passed down through generations, a legacy of Souville. Amelia stood in her garden, a modest plot of earth beside her charming stone cottage, the amber walls of which were adorned with ivy that clambered up to the thatched roof. Sunlight pierced through the canopy of trees overhead, sending beams of gold to play upon the vibrant tapestry of flowers around her. She took a moment to breathe deeply, the rich, earthy aroma mingling with the floral scents enveloping her. Her hands cradled a pouch of seeds, each one carefully chosen, each representing a dream, a hope, an aspiration. Tonight was special. It was her planting day, a day she had looked forward to with great anticipation. "You seem lost in thought," came a gentle voice breaking her reverie. It was Eldrin, her husband, his eyes full of warmth as he approached. their son Rowan on his shoulders, and little Ilara, their daughter, clutching his hand. Amelia smiled, her eyes glistening. I was just thinking about my grandmother, how she used to tell me about her planting day, the joy, the hopes, and the dreams she sowed. And now, here I am, with my own seeds, our family's dreams. Rowan, his youthful curiosity evident, leaned in closer to the pouch. What dreams are you planting, Mama? Amelia knelt, bringing herself to Rowan's level, and spilled a few seeds onto her palm. This one, she pointed to a luminescent blue seed, represents my hope for you, Rowan, to always find joy in the simplest of things. This golden one is for Ilara, that she may grow up strong and kind, with a heart full of love. Ilara, wide-eyed, reached out to touch the seed. And this one? She asked, pointing to a seed that shimmered like a pearl. That, my dear, Amelia whispered, is a dream of happiness, of family gatherings, of laughter and song, of days like today when we're all together, cherishing moments that become memories. Eldrin gently wrapped his arm around Amelia. Your grandmother would be so proud seeing you now. She always said that the heart's true desires shine brightest in the garden of one's dreams. Amelia nodded, holding back tears of emotion. Tonight, as I plant these seeds, I'll be sowing more than just dreams. I'll be planting a legacy, one that you, Rowan, and you, Ilara, will carry forward. The sun dipped lower, casting the garden in a soft golden hue. The family, united in that moment, felt the magic of Sauville, of dreams waiting to be sown, and of hopes that would soon blossom. In the soft light of the evening, with the scent of blooming flowers surrounding them, Amelia, Eldrin, and their children sat in a circle, a warm blanket spread beneath them. At the center of this familial gathering was a leather-bound book, aged and worn, but brimming with stories of yesteryears. Amelia opened it gently, revealing pages filled with delicate illustrations and elegant script. This, she began, her voice tinged with reverence, is a record of our ancestors, of their dreams, and of the gardens they cultivated. Rowan's eyes widened with wonder. Are there tales of grand adventures, Mama? Amelia chuckled. Oh, indeed, but not all adventures are about battles and dragons. Some of the most profound journeys take place right here, in the soil of our gardens. She began with the story of Great-Uncle Alden, who planted seeds of ambition. His garden grew tall, almost touching the sky, but it cast shadows so deep that nothing else could thrive around it. In his pursuit of greatness, Alden forgot the beauty of the simpler things and ended up isolated amidst his towering plants. Little Ilara, her fingers tracing the illustrations, asked, "What about this lady, Mama? The one with the radiant flowers all around her?" "That," Amelia replied, her eyes softening, "is Great Aunt Elysia. She sowed seeds of love and kindness. Even when storms ravaged Sauville, her garden remained untouched, glowing with an inner light. People from all over came to see her blooms, and she would give them away, believing that true joy comes from sharing." Eldrin, a gentle smile playing on his lips, nudged the next page. "And this, children, is the garden of your great-grandparents. See how it's a mix of tall trees, flowering plants, and even some wild shrubs? They believed in balance, in dreams both big and small. They knew that not all seeds would bloom, and not all plants would bear fruit, but that didn't deter them. They reveled in the process, in the act of planting, nurturing, and sometimes letting go." Amelia closed the book, her heart full. These stories, my loves, are our legacy. They remind us that while it's important to dream and aspire, it's equally important to ground ourselves in love, humility, and gratitude. Rowan, deep in thought, whispered, "I hope our garden is like Great Aunt Elysia's." Amelia pulled him into a hug. "Every garden is unique, Rowan, but with love, care, and the wisdom of those who came before us, we can make it truly magical." As stars began to twinkle above, the family lay back, looking up at the vast night sky, their hearts intertwined with the rich tapestry of tales that had been passed down through the ages. day dawned with a golden hue, and the streets of Sauville were abuzz with excitement. For Amelia, this was no ordinary day. It was the day she would receive her first packet of seeds. The townsfolk gathered in the central square, where an ancient tree stood. Its branches, thick and sprawling, bore no leaves, but instead had countless lanterns that glowed with an ethereal light. As Amelia approached, the elders of Sauville, dressed in robes of deep green and gold, stood in a semicircle around a stone pedestal. Upon it rested an ornate silver box, said to contain the seeds of dreams. Elder Thrain, a man of many years with a long silvery beard, beckoned Amelia forward. Amelia of House Linden, today marks a new chapter in your life. These seeds, he motioned towards the box, are not mere specks of nature. They are fragments of hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Treat them with respect, nurture them with love, and they shall bloom into manifestations of your heart's desires. Amelia, her heart pounding with anticipation, stepped forward. As she opened the box, a soft glow emanated from within. There they were, her seeds. Each one seemed to pulse with life, shimmering in shades of gold, silver, and myriad colors she had no name for. They felt warm to the touch, humming with potential. Elder Miral, a wise woman with hair like cascading moonlight, whispered, "Remember, young one, while these seeds hold immense potential, it's the soil of your heart and the care you provide that will determine their growth." Amelia nodded, clutching the seeds to her chest. "I promise to cherish them, to learn from them, and to honor the legacy of our ancestors." The elders smiled, and as Amelia turned to leave, the townsfolk erupted in cheers, the lanterns in the ancient tree glowing brighter, as if in celebration. Eldrin and the children rushed forward, their eyes filled with pride. "Today," Eldrin murmured, his voice thick with emotion, "marks the beginning of a new journey, and will be with you every step of the way." With her family by her side and the seeds of potential in her grasp, Amelia stepped into the next chapter of her life, her heart brimming with hope, wonder, and endless possibilities. Amelia stepped out into her personal garden plot, feeling the weight of responsibility and excitement intertwining in her chest. The plot was a blank canvas, representing the diverse terrains of life. There were sunlit clearings where golden rays danced with wild abandon, shady corners that whispered of secrets and mysteries, patches marred by stubborn rocks, and areas of fertile grounds, dark and rich, promising growth and prosperity. Her children, Kaelin and Lyria, scampered about, their eyes wide with curiosity. Kaelin picked up a stone, examining it. "Mother, why are there rocky places in our garden? Wouldn't it be better if it was all fertile?" Amelia knelt beside him, her fingers brushing over the rough, stony patch. "Every garden has its challenges, my dear, just like life. Sometimes amidst these rocks, the most resilient of flowers bloom. They remind us of the strength within, even when conditions aren't perfect." Lyria, tugging at the hem of her mother's dress, pointed towards the sunlit clearing. "That's where I'd plant my seeds, right in the sunshine." Amelia chuckled, lifting Lyria into her arms. "Sunlight is wonderful, but too much can also wither a young sapling. Balance is the key, sweetling." Eldrin joined them, carrying a wooden box filled with gardening tools passed down through generations. "Ah, the joy of beginnings," he mused, leaning on a hoe. "Where will you begin, Amelia?" Amelia held up one shimmering seed, lost in thought. She remembered her grandmother's tales, the wisdom in choosing the right spot, and the patience required to nurture life. "I think I'll start in the fertile ground, to give them the best chance. Then, as I learn and grow as a gardener, I'll experiment with the more challenging areas." Eldrin nodded approvingly. "A wise choice. But remember, every part of this land has its lessons. Embrace them all." Days turned into weeks. The family worked tirelessly, turning over the soil, removing weeds, and ensuring the ground was ready. They built a small fence, using stones from the rocky patch, turning challenges into assets. And in the heart of the plot, where the soil was richest, Amelia planted her first seeds, praying they would find their roots and bloom in time. As the sun dipped beyond the horizon, casting the garden in a golden hue, Amelia, Eldrin, Kaelin, and Lyria sat amidst their hard work, dreaming of the days to come, where dreams sowed would become realities nurtured. The journey of the heart and soil had begun. With her garden taking root, Amelia took to wandering through Sauville. She wanted to see how others tended to their plots, and if there were lessons to be gleaned from their experiences. The town's gardens were as diverse as its inhabitants, each one revealing something profound about the gardener. She first visited the garden belonging to Mr. Blackthorn, who lived a few houses away. His plot was a tangle of thorns and weeds with very few flowers. Amidst them were plants that seemed to thrive on neglect, their petals a dark hue. Amelia felt a pang of sadness as she realized this was the garden of bitterness and resentment. Mr. Blackthorn had never moved on from a business betrayal many years ago, and his garden reflected the state of his heart. Next, she ventured to Miss Elowen's plot. The garden was neat and orderly, but lacked any vibrant colors or fragrances. All the plants looked the same, a dull shade of green. It was a garden of envy, where comparison had stifled individuality and growth. Miss Elowen, always envious of her neighbors, tried to replicate their successes, never realizing her unique seeds were left unplanted. Amelia then stumbled upon the garden of the O'Halloran family. It was a stark contrast to the previous two, bursting with colors, fragrances, and a symphony of birdsong. It was clear this was a garden of love and kindness. The O'Hallorans were known for their generosity and warmth, always sharing their harvest with neighbors. Their garden was a testament to a life of giving and compassion. Intrigued, Amelia continued her exploration. She saw gardens that soared with ambition, plots that lay barren from fear, and others that were wild with adventure and curiosity. Each garden was a mirror, reflecting the soul of the gardener. As she walked, she chatted with the townsfolk, exchanging stories and advice. Young Kaelin and Lyria often accompanied her, their keen eyes noticing things Amelia might have missed. Their innocent observations often carried profound wisdom. "Mother," Lyria pointed one day, "look at Mrs. Penrose's garden. It's half shadows and half sunlight. Why is that?" Amelia pondered and replied, "Maybe, dear, it's because life is a mix of both. Shadows of hardships and the light of good times. A balanced garden, like Mrs. Penrose's, shows resilience." Eldrin, having overheard the conversation, added, "And sometimes, in the darkest shadows, that's where the most beautiful flowers bloom." Amelia took all these observations to heart. As she tended to her garden, she remembered that every emotion, every experience had its place. Her garden would be a reflection of her journey, a tapestry of life's trials and triumphs. And with every seed she planted, she sowed a bit of her soul into Sauville's rich earth. The first few weeks in Amelia's gardening journey had been a medley of joy, anticipation, and labor. But as the days turned, so did her fortune. Sauville, often blessed with temperate climes, suddenly experienced a bout of unpredicted weather. Torrential rains battered the town for days on end, turning gardens into muddy swamps. Amelia watched in dismay as the rain threatened to drown her young plants. Eldrin, ever the pragmatist, tried to construct makeshift canopies to shield the most vulnerable of the saplings. "Rain is essential, Mother," he mused, pushing back his rain-soaked hair, "but too much of a good thing can be damaging." As the rain subsided, a new challenge arose. From the damp earth emerged pests of all kinds. Slugs, snails, and all manner of insects seemed to have taken a particular liking to Amelia's plot. They nibbled on leaves, burrowed into stems, and left a trail of destruction in their wake. Determined not to be defeated, Amelia consulted her grandmother's old gardening journals, hoping to find a solution. "Ah, here it is," she exclaimed one evening, reading aloud to her children by candlelight. "A mixture of crushed eggshells and lavender should deter most pests." The next day, the family set about preparing the remedy, sprinkling it around their beleaguered plants. But nature had one more test in store. A fast-growing, competing plant with wide leaves and an aggressive nature began to overshadow Amelia's seedlings. This plant wasn't inherently malevolent. It simply grew with such vigor that it threatened to choke everything in its vicinity. Amelia was on the brink of despair. "Maybe this is a sign," she said to Lillian one evening. "Maybe I wasn't meant to be a gardener." Lillian, strumming her ukulele, looked thoughtfully at her mother. "Grandmother used to say that every garden mirrors life. There are storms, pests, and even rivals. But with love, patience, and faith, any challenge can be overcome." Inspired by Lillian's words, Amelia decided to consult the elders of Sauville. They advised her to introduce certain companion plants that would naturally deter the aggressive growth. "Nature," old Mrs. Hawthorne whispered, with a twinkle in her eye, "has a solution for every problem. You just need to know where to look." With renewed determination, Amelia, with the help of her family, slowly began to restore the balance in her garden. Every setback taught her something new. Every challenge strengthened her resolve. The journey was as much about personal growth as it was about cultivating plants. And through it all, the heart of the gardener, Amelia, remained ever hopeful, ever faithful. Amelia, her hands sore from tending to her garden, sat down on a nearby bench, taking a moment to appreciate the progress she had made. As she observed the play of sunlight on the droplets of dew on her plants, she was approached by a tall, slender figure. His silver hair flowed neatly to his shoulders, complemented by a beard that spoke of many years. Dressed in a simple robe with a myriad of pockets filled with tools, seeds, and trinkets, he walked with an air of serene wisdom. It was Mr. Cedric, known throughout Sauville as the wise gardener. "Good day, Amelia," he greeted with a warm, knowing smile, his voice a gentle rumble. "I couldn't help but notice your diligent work from afar. Your garden has come a long way." Amelia looked up, her eyes revealing the weight of her recent challenges. "Mr. Cedric," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "I've faced so many trials with this garden. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing right by it." Mr. Cedric, leaning on his ornate wooden staff, knelt beside her. "Every garden," he began thoughtfully, "has its seasons, its storms, and its sunshine. It's a reflection of life itself. But tell me, Amelia, why did you choose to plant a garden in the first place?" Amelia hesitated, thinking back. "I wanted to create something beautiful," she whispered. "Something that would remind me of the stories my grandmother shared, of hope, love, and perseverance." Mr. Cedric nodded, his eyes twinkling like stars in the night. "Then always remember, dear Amelia, that a garden's true beauty lies not just in its blooms, but in the heart of the gardener. You've poured your love, your hopes, and your dreams into this soil. And just as you tend to each plant, ensuring it has the right conditions to thrive, so must you tend to your own heart, nurturing it with faith, patience, and love." Amelia's eyes glistened with tears as she absorbed his words. "But how do I know if I'm on the right path?" Mr. Cedric reached into one of his many pockets, pulling out a small, radiant seed. "Plant this in your garden," he said, placing it in her hand. "And remember, it's not just about how well it grows, but about the love and care you give it." As the sun began its descent, casting a golden hue over Sauville, Amelia and Mr. Cedric sat in companionable silence, two gardeners connected by the timeless wisdom of the land. The challenges ahead seemed a little less daunting, the future a touch brighter, all because of a shared moment and a seed of hope. As the golden hues of dawn broke over Sauville, Amelia stepped out into the crisp morning air. The subtle chirping of birds filled the silence, each melody a testament to the new day's promise. With every step toward her garden, she felt a stirring within her, a realization that began to take root. She reached the plot she had been tending and looked down, not just at the plants, but beyond them, into the very essence of what they represented. The sunlit patches, vibrant and full of promise, reminded her of moments of hope and joy she held in her heart. But then there were the shady corners, where uncertainty and doubt seemed to loom, mirroring the questions she often grappled with. The stretches of ambition, where plants reached for the sky, echoed her own dreams and aspirations. Yet, the corners of love were the most profound, where delicate blooms of care, compassion, and love intertwined in a dance of harmony. Lost in thought, she barely noticed a familiar voice calling out to her. "Amelia, what a fine morning to be lost in one's garden." She turned to find young Thomas, a neighbor's son with golden curls and an ever-present grin, looking at her with curiosity. "Good morning, Thomas," she greeted with a smile. "It's not just any garden, it's a reflection, a mirror to one's heart." Thomas tilted his head, his youthful face contemplative. "What do you mean, Amelia?" Kneeling down beside a blooming flower, she replied, "Look here, Thomas. This bright flower, standing tall in the sunlight, represents my hopes, the dreams I cherish. But over there," she pointed to a shadowy corner, "the wilted ones are my doubts and fears." Thomas, with the innocence only children possess, remarked, "But every garden has its shadows, doesn't it? My mum says it's the shadows that make us appreciate the light." Amelia looked at him, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "Your mother is wise, Thomas. It's true. It's the balance of light and shade, joy and sorrow that shapes us." They continued their stroll through the garden, with Thomas chattering excitedly about his own tiny plot of land. As the morning sun climbed higher, casting a radiant glow over Sauville, Amelia's heart felt lighter, her understanding deepened by the musings of a young boy and the ever-evolving tapestry of her garden. The days that followed were a blur of activity. Amelia, with a newfound determination, embarked on reshaping her garden. The soil beneath her fingers was like clay in the hands of a sculptor, awaiting form and purpose. The patches that once flourished with unchecked ambitions and fleeting desires were now being carefully uprooted and set aside. Instead, Amelia now sought to prioritize what truly mattered, laying the foundation for a garden that reflected her innermost virtues. Thomas, ever curious, came bounding over one afternoon, his blue eyes wide with excitement. "Amelia, you're changing everything. But why?" he asked, looking around the transformed plot with wonder. She smiled down at him, her hands gently cradling a seed. "I've come to understand, Thomas, that just like our hearts, our gardens must be tended to with intention. It's not about how much we plant, but rather what we choose to nurture." Thomas crouched down beside her, watching intently as she made a small hole in the ground. "And what's that seed?" he inquired. "This," she said, placing it into the earth with reverence, "represents kindness. And over there," she pointed to another section, "I've planted seeds of patience, and beside them, gratitude." The young boy's face lit up with understanding. "So, instead of growing everything, you're choosing the best bits of your heart," Amelia chuckled, ruffling his golden curls. "Precisely. By focusing on these virtues, I hope to create a garden that truly reflects who I am and who I aspire to be." The two continued to work side by side, the sun casting long shadows as it began its descent. The garden of Sauville, with its myriad plots, seemed to hum with life and stories, but Amelia's plot, with its deliberate choice of seeds, stood out, a testament to a heart choosing to nurture its purest desires. And as the days turned into weeks, the residents of Sauville began to notice. Amelia's garden became a beacon, drawing many to its serene beauty. Whispers of admiration traveled through the town, but for Amelia, the joy was in the journey itself, in the deliberate choices she made and the virtues she chose to cultivate. The gentle aroma of blooming flowers wafted through the air as Amelia diligently tended to her garden. The transformation of her plot had not gone unnoticed, and soon, other young gardeners, inspired by her dedication, approached, each bringing with them tales of their own plots, seeds, and dreams. One morning, a lanky youth named Eamon, with tousled brown hair and an air of uncertainty, approached her. He stood for a moment, admiring the symmetry and thoughtfulness of Amelia's plot. "Your garden, it's unlike any I've ever seen. How did you manage to cultivate such beauty?" he asked, a hint of longing evident in his voice. Amelia, wiping her brow, smiled gently. "It's a reflection of the heart, Eamon. I simply chose to nurture seeds that mirrored my truest desires and virtues." Eamon hesitated before speaking. "My plot, it's overrun with weeds. I'm not sure where to begin." Amelia, sensing his struggle, replied, "Sometimes all we need is a fresh perspective. Come, let's take a look together." And so the two ventured to Eamon's plot, where Amelia offered guidance, helping him identify seeds of value amidst the undergrowth. They toiled side by side, and as they did, Eamon shared stories of his childhood and the dreams he hoped his garden would one day reflect. Days later, a spirited girl named Clara, with fire-red curls and freckles that mirrored constellations, approached Amelia. "I've been hearing tales of your garden and how it's become a beacon for many," she said with an excited grin. "I've been experimenting with crossbreeding plants, hoping to create something unique. Would you like to try?" The two, immersed in conversation, exchanged seeds, stories of their ancestors, and the legacy they hoped to create through their gardens. Clara's infectious enthusiasm reminded Amelia of the joy found in sharing knowledge and the magic of collaboration. As weeks passed, Amelia's garden became a hub of activity. Young gardeners, each with unique aspirations, gathered, forming an impromptu community. They exchanged tales, traded seeds, and assisted one another in their gardening endeavors. Evenings in Sauville were soon filled with the laughter and camaraderie of these young souls. They sang songs of old, narrated tales of ancient gardeners, and dreamt of the legacy they would leave behind. And as they did, a profound realization dawned on Amelia. While each garden was a reflection of an individual's heart, together they formed a tapestry of dreams, hopes, and aspirations, emphasizing the undeniable importance of community and unity. The days in Sauville grew warmer as summer approached. Yet, amidst the budding flowers and lush foliage, one particular seed in Amelia's garden refused to sprout. This seed, wrapped in a delicate gold-tinged husk, was the one she held dearest. It was a seed her grandmother had given her, a symbol of her most profound aspiration, unconditional love. As days turned into weeks, Amelia's concern deepened. Every morning, she would kneel beside the stubborn patch of earth, whispering words of encouragement, and every evening she'd leave it, heart heavy with disappointment. One day, as Amelia was lost in thought beside the obstinate seed, Mr. Cedric happened to pass by. Observing her sunken shoulders and the unyielding plot of land, he ventured, "That seed seems to be causing you quite the vexation." Amelia looked up, her blue eyes brimming with unshed tears. "It's the seed my grandmother gave me. It represents the kind of love that's unwavering, that sees no boundaries, but it refuses to grow, and I don't understand why." Mr. Cedric, with his decades of gardening wisdom, knelt beside her, his fingers gently brushing the soil. "Sometimes the seeds we value the most require more than just sunlight and water. They need us to confront the shadows within our hearts." Amelia pondered his words. her mind drifting back to memories long buried. She remembered times when her understanding of love was tested, moments of jealousy, moments when she felt unloved, moments when she had struggled to forgive. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the garden in a warm golden hue, Amelia whispered her confessions to the seed, confronting her hidden fears and insecurities. She spoke of times she had doubted love, times she had been hurt, and times she had hurt others. As days passed, a miraculous transformation occurred. The once stubborn patch of earth began to shift, and a delicate shoot, green and full of promise, pushed its way through the soil. The cherished seed was finally sprouting. Amelia, with tears of joy, realized that for love to truly grow, one had to confront their deepest fears and insecurities. And in the heart of Sauville, amidst the vibrant blooms and singing birds, a new plant began its journey, symbolizing the boundless and enduring power of love. The weeks that followed were like no other. Sauville, with its palette of colors, fragrances, and melodies, was witnessing a transformation not just in a plot of land, but in the heart of a young gardener. Amelia's dedication was palpable. Every dawn saw her kneeling by her patch, her fingers diligently working the soil, her voice singing melodies that seemed older than the town itself. As the plants in her garden grew, so did the whispers about Amelia's miraculous touch. Neighbors would often stop by, their gazes lingering on the blossoming flowers, each petal telling tales of virtues like patience, humility, and love. Children would sit around, their eyes wide with wonder, as Amelia shared stories about each plant, drawing parallels to lessons she had learned. But the most remarkable transformation was in the heart of the garden. The once struggling seed of unconditional love now stood tall, its branches reaching out, blossoms that radiated a soft glow in the moonlight. The fragrance it exuded was intoxicating, reminiscent of old tales, of dreams, and of prayers whispered in the stillness of the night. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in hues of gold and crimson, the townsfolk gathered around Amelia's garden, drawn by the enchanting aroma. They watched in awe as a spectacle unfolded before them. The plant pulsed with a gentle light, and one by one, its blossoms floated upwards, merging with the stars. Amelia, with her family by her side, stood amidst her flourishing garden, her heart brimming with gratitude and understanding. The journey with her plot had taught her much more than gardening techniques. It had been a mirror to her soul, reflecting her strengths, weaknesses, fears, and hopes. Mr. Cedric, looking on with pride, whispered to those around, "In every generation, there comes a gardener who understands that the true essence of growth isn't just in tending to plants, but in nurturing the heart." Amelia has shown us the path. The evening culminated in joyous celebrations, songs, and dances. But amidst the merriment, a profound truth had been unveiled. For in the heart of Sauville, a young gardener had unraveled the secret that true growth, whether of plants or the spirit, stems from understanding, patience, love, and unwavering faith. In the days leading up to the Festival of Flowers, Sauville was alive with anticipation. Homes were decorated with garlands, streets adorned with lanterns, and the town square transformed into a bustling hub of preparations. The festival was not merely an event. It was a testament to a year of growth, challenges, and the perseverance of the gardeners. Children ran about, their laughter echoing in the streets as they helped hang vibrant streamers and banners. Traders set up stalls, displaying an array of seeds, gardening tools, and flower-themed trinkets. Musicians practiced harmonious tunes, while chefs prepared for feasts that would cater to the huge gathering. Amelia, with Cora and Eli at her side, was not aloof from the excitement. Their garden, once a patch of land reflecting inner struggles, had transformed into a canvas of emotions, virtues, and aspirations. It told tales of hope, patience, setbacks, and love. The family worked together, adding finishing touches, ensuring that every plant, every petal, and every bud was presented in its full glory. The evening of the festival arrived, and the town square was a sight to behold. Gardens of all shapes and sizes showcased their beauty. Some were grand with fountains and statues, while others were simple, yet profound in their messages. As visitors strolled through Amelia's garden, they felt an emotional pull. The plants didn't just represent virtues, they were imbued with them. People felt waves of serenity, hope, love, and aspiration wash over them. It was clear to all that Amelia's garden was not just a showcase of plants, but a testament to a year's journey of heart and soul. Old Mr. Cedric, with a twinkle in his eyes, approached Amelia. "My dear," he said, his voice filled with warmth, "your garden is a mirror to your spirit. It's evident that you've not just grown plants, but cultivated virtues." Amelia, her cheeks flushed with pride and humility, replied, "It's the lessons I learned, the stories of the past, and the hope for the future that's reflected here. It's a journey, not just mine, but of every soul in Sauville." The Festival of Flowers was not just a celebration of gardens, but of life itself. As the evening drew to a close, with fireworks lighting up the sky, songs filling the air, and joy resonating in every heart, one thing was evident. In Sauville, gardening was not just a hobby, it was a way of life, a reflection of one's journey, and a testament to the power of faith, hope, and love. The Festival of Flowers, a riotous explosion of colors and fragrances, captivated the senses of all who entered the town square. Each garden was a work of art, narrating tales of dreams, aspirations, and the personal journeys of the gardeners. However, in this vivid tapestry of gardens, Amelia's plot, though not the most extensive or flamboyant, captured the most attention. Amidst gardens with cascading waterfalls, elaborate topiaries, and arrays of exotic plants, Amelia's garden was simple, almost humble. Yet it possessed an undeniable charm that drew visitors in. The flowers, though common, were radiant in their colors, each petal seemingly singing a song of love and hope. The air around her plot was fragrant, not just with the scent of flowers, but with an aroma of genuine love and sincerity. People, young and old, paused longer at her garden, their faces reflecting a range of emotions. Some smiled with a quiet understanding, while others had tears in their eyes, moved by the garden's purity. Conversations flowed around her plot, with many sharing personal tales, reminiscing about moments when they felt true love, real hope, or unwavering faith. Elders of Sauville, who had seen countless festivals, nodded appreciatively. "This, right here," one of them whispered, pointing to Amelia's garden, "is the heart of Sauville. It's not about grandeur, but about genuineness." Young children, drawn to the warmth of the garden, played amidst the flowers, their laughter adding to the garden's beauty. Cora and Eli, proud of their mother's achievement, joyously shared tales of each plant's journey with the inquisitive visitors. As the sun set, casting a golden hue on the town square, Amelia's husband, Ben, approached her. He wrapped an arm around her, his eyes glistening with pride. "You've always said that a garden is a reflection of the gardener's heart. Today, Sauville saw the beauty of yours," he whispered. Amelia, teary-eyed, looked at her garden, then at her family and replied, "It's not just my heart, Ben, it's ours. It's every tale you've shared, every lesson we've taught Cora and Eli, every prayer we've whispered. This garden is our collective heart." And as night descended upon Sauville, amidst twinkling lanterns and joyous songs, it was evident that true beauty didn't lie in extravagance. It resided in authenticity, in gardens like Amelia's, which reflected hearts cultivated with love, hope, and faith. amidst the melodies of evening birds and the soft glow of twilight, Amelia sat by her garden, lost in contemplation. Every plant, every flower, seemed to resonate with her heart's rhythm. The festival of flowers had concluded, but the lessons she had learned, the growth she had experienced, and the connections she had made lingered on, as vivid as the most fragrant bloom. Gently touching the petals of a radiant rose, she mused on the incredible journey she had embarked upon. Every seed she had planted carried the weight of a dream, an aspiration, a fragment of her heart. Yet, not every dream had bloomed in the way she had anticipated. Some seeds, despite her most fervent hopes, had remained dormant. Others had sprouted, but never reached their full potential. Yet, there were those that had thrived, surpassing even her wildest expectations. What was the difference, she wondered? Why did some desires flourish while others withered? The answer, she realized, was not in the seeds themselves, but in the care she provided, the conditions she cultivated, and most importantly, the intentions of her heart. In the stillness, she remembered her grandmother's words. "It's not enough to simply plant a seed, dear. You must also tend to it, nurture it, and understand its needs. And above all, you must do it with genuine intent, for a garden feels the gardener's heart." Her journey in Souville, among its gardens and gardeners, had taught her that while every desire is essential, not all are destined to bear fruit. It's the heart's sincerity, the purity of one's intent, and the care one invests that truly determines the outcome. The moon, now high in the sky, bathed Amelia's garden in silver light. She stood up, taking one last look at her blooming haven. With a heart full of gratitude, she whispered a prayer, promising to always nurture her garden, both the one in her yard and the one in her heart, with love, care, and true intent. And as she stepped inside, leaving behind the serene beauty of her garden, she carried with her the eternal truth. Life's outcomes aren't just a product of our desires, but of the love, care, and intent with which we pursue them.